Here we go again. Yeah, we back. Welcome to the Will Is podcast once again. Yeah, we holding it down once again tonight on a Monday. I normally don't do shows on Monday, but this Monday I felt like I wanted to do a show. So here I am. And I want to do this show about preachers and teachers. Why do I want to do this show about preachers and teachers? What you talking about, Danny D? Well, I'm talking about specifically how they orchestrate their curriculum. This is not an attack. This is simply an observation. So we don't want to get into beating anybody down. We don't. Most nights we try to stay away from. We focus on us most of the time. We focus on how we want to, really kind of make ourselves a better person from day to day. Making yourself a better person is a day-to-day operation. And that is specifically why you have preachers and teachers. Okay? So let's just get that clear. Uh, but let's talk about preachers and teachers and their curriculum. The problem with preachers and teachers aren't professors. Professors also have a curriculum, but they have to do years of research. So there's a big difference. Teachers are handed a curriculum, and there's a body of people that has a say so in what they distribute. Now, most preachers and preachers, see, that falls in the lines of, you know, rabbis, uh, bishops, priests, because they study the so called Word of God. So, this is why it's extremely important to understand history because you have to know who that I gave a word away. You got to know who's posing as preachers and teachers. Now, I was challenged and called a liar on some comments. I'm not going to take them down. I keep them up. I just have to know I have limitations about ignorance. So when a person want to challenge me, you know, I'm all for a good conversation. I'm all for a good willed conversation to make us better as a people, even if this was a personal conversation. I can practice enough humility to say, guess what? I understand where you're coming from. I see your point. That makes sense. I can you have taught me how to treat you and I'm going to respect that. You see how that works? It's called being a participant in civilization with people. Different kinds of people from different origins, backgrounds, constructs. We still have to know how to participate in this thing we call the world. And we would like to keep it a civilized world, which is why it's extremely important to educate yourself because these preachers and teachers, I'm gonna just tell you like this. A lot of things that people preach and teach should always be under construction. One thing you see about all them books, all of the books that I have, they're very near and dear to me. Why are they so near and dear to you, Danny D? Because they give you so many different perspectives. It helps you see the world. I wouldn't say completely because the more I learn, the more I read, you know what I really learn the most? How much I don't know. Keeps you humble. It keeps you learning. It keeps you exciting about learning because the one thing about learning, it makes you feel like a kid again. It makes you feel like there's so much to be done and there's so much to do. And how do you do it? You get good at learning how to do something. So when people do have, their podcast or they talk on the news, journalists, and I look at I look at what they got. And sometimes it's like this. It's too blurry for you to see what's on the shelf sometimes. You understand? But at the end of the day, the important thing is about here, this is I'll share with you content that you might want to know and some of you might not want to know. So let's get back to the comment that was made about, Dr. Dix and I agreed on that black women are the most educated in this country. But on paper, this is extremely true. Yeah. But look at the curriculum. The curriculum. See, that's where you have an enhanced conversation about curriculum. You understand? Curriculum. What is curriculum? It's like a knowledge package put together that said agreed upon people coin into actual fact, which a lot of detail could be left out because they can do what they want. And when you have as again I say, when you live in an overlay society, what are you bound to do? Do just that. What you want. See, a lot of people talk about, oh, y'all were conquered and this and that. Who's really conquered? See, that's a state of mind. Sure. Unfair compromises, unfair exchanges. People don't even see you as a full man because you're more of a man. So they would prefer to propagandize themselves into an entity that never existed, never can exist because they don't have the tools to make it a real existing thing, which they work on daily, you see. But there are elements to organic people that have been studied, and I've shown you this, the book of melanin. Melanin exists in everything. Everything. And it is uniquely a supreme compound that is internal and external. Everyone has it. Some have more than others. So, here you go again. No, here I go again. What? Look it up. I've already shown you. So, like you do as you will. Again, people that like to challenge shit. Challenge all you want. That's fair, fine. But I don't have the base or exchanges with people that want to challenge for the sake of their fucking feelings. What's the fun in that? You got to come with it if you're going to come with it. You see what I'm saying? Because then we have to be exposed to the same information. What if you studied something, teachers, professors, preachers? You spend your life studying something and you can damn well manipulate it the way you want it to be. You've done so for quite some time. We hear about it all the time. All these new discoveries of lands, territories. Do you even know that you got places like China that's building land masses, from dropping tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of concrete in the ocean, controlling the way they want the landmass to look, and literally building bases. And I mean, some of them collapse, but when you think about the thinking, the genius of the ideology, and they were saying one thing about real estate. Excuse me. One thing about real estate, they say you can't make no more land. Well, some places saying I be damned. Yes, I can. So that's really a thought. If you can combine the right type of elements and solutions that can combine and become indestructible. So, can you create Earth out of Earth? Is what I really want to know. That's quite a perplexed thought, isn't it? So, you know how the Earth is an organic mechanism, right? It's an organic entity. It's a celestial body. Yes, the Earth that you live on, the same thing you throw trash on every day, as if you don't know where there's a place for it. The same thing when you some things that are disposable, and some things you want to dispose of things properly. That's where you got hazmat. So when you think about what makes a world function, the infrastructure, how it functions, you have to think about how do you dispose of things and where it goes, and how and pollution and so all of these things you have to be extremely accountable, responsible. You have to be aware. You have to be. You would like to think people would be extremely courteous or kind and thoughtful of life. Uh, Not even just wildlife, human life, but of course wildlife as well. So, but when you have taken on the responsibilities, when you've taken on the responsibilities to become a global dominant power of people of a specific kind, well, what are you saying? Well, you're saying you want to just say, hey, I want to run everything. I want to take full accountability, full responsibility of the globe. I want to dominate the globe. Well, what if you're not the most qualified to dominate the globe? What if you're not the most qualified to teach or to preach? What if? And what if that is an absolute goddamn fact and reality as well? What if? Hmm. The will is yours. You could have done anything you wanted to do. Some people have done a great deal of things in good faith and knowing that they wanted to make their mark and effect on the world, as we all should be focusing on trying to do in some facet, in some way of being. You should be focusing on trying to make the world a more suitable place for you and others, as well as what you produce, meaning your children, if you just so happen to have any. But what are you going to leave them with? Truth or fabrications that they have to comb their way through. And some kids, when they find out the truth, they can be a little resentful, not like you and the bullshit you came with, too. So it's quite important to tell the truth on a continuum, be quite honest with yourself on a continuum, so that we move this thing called humanity forward. Because this ruggedized platform that you have enforced on, the world is not even fitting for you. You're so quick to judge. You're so quick to want to be in charge. You're so quick to want to be the main attraction. But you don't even have the wherewithal to attract properly when you have to propagandize, lie, and perpetuate on the unknowns simply because you're a trickster. Well, tricks run out. When you don't come from a solid place to where it's not formulated, pre-hand before presented, not necessarily studied, nurtured, forward, vision worthy. Then, after that concept is achieved, you pilot it. You grab your most talented, your most in tune, and you pilot in good faith a proper mindset and a proper path forward with the data, the analytics, as well as the structural path to see your goal coming to fruition. But if you don't have a mindset to understand how to assess a situation, study that situation, test the situation, come up with a plan to implement the situation. That's the pilot. So once you run that pilot so well and your safeties are all checks, you're in the green. Now it's time to go into production. Let's see how well this does against other products. Let's see how well it does. Let's see if it does have any implementations that need to be upgraded, added, add redundancy, add all of these type of elements to make it more robust and fail safe. That's what we do with ourselves as well, right? So that when you do have the haters and the unqualified and the so-called preachers and teachers, you have to equip yourself for wolves in sheep clothing as well. Everybody is out for something in a capitalistic society. Give me something, and I want it now. You pay your tithe. You give me an offering. But what have you given me? I gave you the word. Are you sure? Or was that your version, carefully constructed, playing on human, real life, situational emotions as well as time? When you think about it that way, I'm going to spend my time with you, which is an absolute currency. Time is a currency. And you want me to come out of my pocket, and I've spent time at work all week to get what from who? Or I'm well learned, possibly more than you, teacher, from my home. And as a child, I could show you things that may not be in your curriculum, but perhaps it should be, simply because when you dominate a curriculum, you dominate a culture. When you dominate a curriculum, you dominate a people. If a people can't see themselves, they can't understand how powerful and great they actually are. Imagery is extremely important. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And now you have imagery, which is videography and cinematography, and these are worth gazillion types of words. And when it comes to parable, the ways that these images transfer across your brain on the tail eye vision. You understand? The tail eye vision. Tail eyes to your vision. If you spend so much time in consumption, once again, I tell you, outside in is not a good thing if you understand how to prioritize what's inside of you out. Therefore, you know what to look for. That's how you turn a negative and a positive, make lemons out of lemonade, or turn something that is considered to be a poison, make and position it to be a perspective, a purpose, or a tool. You can always position anything to make it purposeful, even if it's poison, because you will learn what to stay away from. Stop allowing people to tell you that television is terrible, or reading books is terrible, or magazines are terrible. All information and consumption is just that, information. Learn how to deal with it and not be so emotionally attached to it as if it runs your life or as if it dictates to you how you're supposed to live when you have no association whatsoever, realistically, with that outside entity. You have no real association with that. You, in your mind, you can have these fantasies and variables, but that's not a real true association. And people play on those things. They make things seem real because you have a vivid imagination. That's why imagery is very important. It's not a crime, but learn how not to run away with your imagery. Learn how not to run away with your imagination. Learn how not to run away with things that will never cost you any real intrinsic value or any real tangible value. Understand and learn what a tangibility is. Something that is tangible is something that can benefit you in order for you to decide how it's going to benefit you. And if it does, if you don't have that, there's no real path forward. It's just smoky mirrors or word salad or bullshit or something that is fixed to benefit somewhere, something or someone else other than you. And you keep looking like, where's my holiday? Where's my day? Where's my resourceful moment? Where's my resolve? Where's my solution? It'll never come when you look for it. That's when you've been had. You keep saying you've done all the right things. You keep telling yourself that, but in all actuality, you just haven't done enough. You haven't done enough research. You haven't done enough to prove that this situation was no good for you. You're entirely too hopeful because you've been bred to be entirely too hopeful and not put enough forth action behind your shortcomings. That's a you problem. Always blame yourself, never blame others first. Think about how much you have wasted your time, how much you have never valued what you should, but you damn sure want to look like you value yourself. You want to look like it, but ask yourself, do you really value yourself for real? If you can't value your brain, your health, how you carry yourself, and it doesn't matter how other people see you, that should be the last on your damn totem pole. Enjoy who you see every day and improve on that first before you go to ever putting your mouth on somebody else. Do you know people tell me, try to make comments, negative comments about this podcast, which is fine with me, but they don't have a podcast, won't show your face, won't even be a real person. You won't even allow me to really interact with you. You want attention. Uh, I don't have the time to give you that type of attention because you want it. It's as simple as that. A fair exchange is quite fulfilling if it's about some shit. But if you just want to run your mouth and act like you know some shit and can't even be constructive and respectful, the fuck I'm gonna consider even thinking about what the fuck you gotta say? Who gives a fuck? Ah, yeah. You weak, worthless, slow, and want attention. You got a chemical imbalance. You're off. Something's wrong with your mental. Because all you got to do is think about how you want to come at me. you're a loser. Do that to yourself. Look in the mirror. With everything I'm telling you, you just turn the lens on you and figure out where your shortcomings are before you start telling me about mine. Because you don't know me. You don't know what I've done. You don't know what I got, homie. You don't. I don't see you. You just nothing to be seen. But anyway, check it out. Watch out, preachers and teachers. You know, your times are coming short. You know that you're becoming obsolete because if you're not going to transform or upgrade your your curriculum and also your or is this another? Yeah, you got curriculums and you have your indoctrination tools is what you have. You know, you gotta relinquish your indoctrination tactics because they are no longer valid globally. Uh, that little short squirt of time that you graced the planet with was not worth you imprisoning and placing yourself in such a vulnerable position simply because you didn't want to compete on a fair on an equal playing scale. You know, those that value humanity, we shall rise. Those that don't, well, you already know what's going to happen to you. You're gonna practice escapism until there's nowhere for you to escape to. But here it is. This is the Will Is podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Again, preachers and teachers, step it up. Get your game up. Stop browbeating. Stop criticizing. Stop getting butthurt about your fallacies. It's a new world. You know, jump on board. You know, you see the great Dr. A.E. coming, hook and jab with him, hook and jab with us all day. You know, understand how to distribute proper information from a very intellectual standpoint with a great deal of accuracy and references and commentary to make sure you understand that there's a whole lot of ways to learn, but hating on people ain't one of them. So I want y'all to say it with me because this show is done. So we're gonna get this good part out the way. Take the responsibility of being your own preacher and teacher sometimes. Listen to the proper peoples. You know, listen to proper connotations from people that, got something to say for real, like me. You dig? So be well, people. And thank you so much for subscribing, uh, uh, commenting, sharing, and appreciating, you know, the selflessness that this involves. So I humbly am extremely appreciative of your time that we spent together. So, hey, I just want you to say it one time after me. Remember, the will is yours. Yeah, that's how we get there. Until the next time, it's always going to be the best time.